Thank you, Chair. Okay, if you go from formal agenda.
Hello, Mr. Hall. With the same officers sitting now as sat earlier, okay, so I don't think you need introductions, do you? So the first thing we do is ask for apologies from absence.
No apologies, Chair.
Mr. Cornwell's in the lobby.
Okay, thank you. I'll admit it now. Hello, Mr. Cornwell. Just going through the formal part of the agenda, okay? Back over to you, Chair.
Thank you. I need disclosures of personal or prejudicial interest, please. Yeah, okay. So the system is exactly the same as the earlier hearing, because this is basically the same. The officers are the same, Mr. Cornwell. So we go straight over to the officer, Mr. Gabe, who will be reading the script to us.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
An application for a new premises licence was received by the authority on the 21st of December 2021. The premises is Asian Cafe, 82 Brynamore Road, Swansea, SA14JE. The applicant is Hai Chin To, who has elected Mr. Kai Ho to represent her today. The applicant and Mr. Ho are related. The licensable activities applied for are late night refreshments, Sunday to Thursday, 2300 hours to 0030 hours. Friday and Saturday, 2300 hours to 0100 hours. Supply of alcohol, Sunday to Thursday, 0900 hours to 0000 hours. Friday and Saturday, 0900 hours to 0030 hours. The opening hours, Sunday to Thursday, 9 to half midnight, and Friday and Saturday, 9 AM to 1 AM. A copy of the application and plan is attached at Appendix A and A1. The venue is situated on Brynamore Road on the side which consists of mainly commercial properties, whilst the opposite side of the road consists of mainly residential properties with a few commercial. The premises 82 Brynamore Road was formerly Let-in Stars, a letting agency. The location plan is attached and the surrounding properties identified on Appendix B. The applicant, Hai Chin To, has experience with 2 licensed premises in Swansea, Swansea Oriental, situated at 71 Brynamore Road, Bryn Mill, and Friendly Chinese in Woodfield Street, Morriston, which is owned by her partner. Both premises are takeaways with alcohol sales. Swansea Oriental operates an extensive delivery service, whereas Asian Cafe will operate as a restaurant. Other premises on Brynamore Road, which have sales of alcohol, are listed at Appendix C, which includes their alcohol sales times. The Licensing Act 2003 contains 4 licensing objectives, namely prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Each of these objectives is of equal importance, and the application must demonstrate how they are to be promoted. Conditions consistent with the operating schedule, which will be attached to the licence if granted as applied for, are attached at Appendix D. Relevant representations, none were submitted by the responsible authorities. However, 2 representations were submitted by Mr. Christopher Cornwell, crime and disorder and public nuisance, and Dawn and Carl Moran, crime and disorder. Mr. and Mrs. Moran are not attending today and elected Mr. Daly to attend on their behalf. Policy considerations. In considering this application, members should have regard to the current statement of licensing policy, and a link to that was provided in the report. Guidance issued by the Home Secretary. Members should also have regard to the relevant parts of the current statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in April 2018, in particular, Introduction, Chapter 1, Licensing Objectives, Chapter 2, Applications for Premises Licenses, Chapter 8, Determining Applications, Chapter 9, Conditions Attached to Premises Licenses, Chapter 10, the Statement of Licensing Policy, Chapter 14. And a link to that guidance was contained within the report. Determination of the application. A decision must be based on the individual merits of the application and the representations received, with a view to promoting the licensing objectives outlined in paragraph 5 of the report. In arriving at the decision, members should also have regard to the relevant provisions of the policy and the guidance as previously provided. Reasons must be provided for any departures from that policy or guidance. In reaching the decision, the committee must have regard to the representations, take such steps mentioned below, if any, as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, grant a license subject to conditions that reflect the operating schedule, modify to such an extent that the authority considers appropriate for promotion of the licensing objectives. Certain regulated entertainment under the Licensing Act 2003 as amended have been deregulated. Where entertainment is deregulated but licensable activities continue to take place on any premises, any licence conditions imposed on a grant of a licence in respect of the deregulated entertainment will be suspended. Any mandatory conditions relevant to the licence. B, exclude any of the licensable activities to which the application relates. C, refuse to specify a person in the licence as a premises supervisor. Or D, reject the application. Could I mention that the representations for this application are the same as the representations for the previous application that we heard just now. The licensing subcommittee's instructions are requested.
Thank you very much. Do either of the other councillors have any questions? Mr. Gate, please. Neither? No? Okay, thank you. So we go to Mr. Cornwall. Would you like to speak, Mr. Cornwall, please?
Yeah. Could I ask Mr. Griffith, who is across the law on this, what would constitute grounds for the dismissal of a licensing application? Like a real lived example. I mean, has there been a dismissed one recently? Sorry, Mr. Griffith.
You're on mute, Alan.
Sorry. I think technically I shouldn't be answering this question. However, for the sake of clarity, I will do my best to assist. Most applications generally get the benefit of the doubt unless the applicant displays either has a track record of poor management of previous applications or has not satisfied the committee that the licensing objectives can be controlled on that application. What happens more often than not is in cases where premises are badly run, there are review proceedings which can result in licenses being revoked. So any premises that subsequently have problems, there is the mechanism within the law to have that license revoked in that situation. So it's generally more a case of see how it goes, but if the premises is badly run, the license can be taken away from you.
I see. So I appreciate that you're not saying this, but I'm sure you can appreciate that, seeing as I'm not in any role where I have to guard my back or what I say, I can synthesize from that and the material in the previous meeting that basically all the licenses are waved through, and then you sort of deal with it afterwards if there's any fallout.
No, that's
In
not
which
strictly
well,
speaking.
well, it does. It's just that in Mr. Gabe's opening statement, he said that there must be the applicant must demonstrate how the licensing objectives would be supported or furthered, and that demonstrably did not happen in the previous meeting. So I'm looking now to this one and seeing if there's anything that I can
Promoted,
add
I
that's
think.
relevant.
I
I
think
think
it's
there's lots of
promoted
relevant things I
rather
have to
than.
say, but you know, the things that I thought were relevant in the last meeting weren't. So I'm trying to look at what is relevant and what isn't. And if there's nothing that's relevant in terms of actually suggesting that those licensing objectives will be transgressed, which is, I mean, obvious, then I don't really know what I can add. I'm just trying to delimit what is going to be relevant.
I understand. I mean, again, I'm doing my best to assist here without preempting, because as I said at the end of the previous one, there is always a presumption to grant. However, there's the mechanism is to condition any concerns, such as in the previous case, if I can use that as an example, had concerns not been raised about the outdoor area, then that condition would not have been put in which case the outside area would have been open till 1 a.m.
Right. Okay. It seems like an odd thing, though, that is there nobody other than the people who object, the members of the public, who would place conditions?
I think I've probably overstepped the mark here, because I'm technically giving legal advice, and that's something I should only be giving to the committee. So I'm trying to do it as a way of an explanation.
I apologise. I didn't mean to.
I think I've given as much principle as I can, and I feel that I will be in difficulties if I carry on. I hope you understand that. I've tried to be of assistance to understand, but I think going any further will constitute legal advice, which is something I'm not able to do.
Sure, and I can't afford it, but thank you very much for it. I appreciate it. Well, in that case, then I don't think there's a huge amount I can add that's going to be relevant, because I believe whatever I say, this license will be granted. So I'm going to leave the meeting now, and as I said before, I do wish Mark and his family good luck with business, and I hope the best outcome that is possible is achieved for all of us on the street. But as I say,
what I will do is leave on this final point. If you are concerned with the law as it stands, then the appropriate person to see is your MP.
Because and I will be doing that. Yeah, that's already, that process has begun in between the two meetings. So but thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I apologise if I offended anybody, but I think you can all appreciate that I'm fraying at the edges at the moment with stress in my life, and I believe this is an increased amount of stress coming my way, if you see what I mean. So thank you very much, and I'm going to withdraw my involvement in any further proceedings, because I feel they will be ineffective. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending, Mr. Cormack. Okay, so we go to the applicant now. Mr. Hull.
Hi, to be honest, I did say something when he said something just now, but my mic muted. What question he asked just now is making me very uncomfortable just now. It's sort of like become personal already. It's not. But I leave it there and there. I mean, so I focus on this one. This is more of a restaurant. Like you can see on the name is cafe. It's just a license they allow us to sell some wine or to accomplish with the food mainly. And what else should I be saying? I don't know what else should I be saying.
What I would suggest that you do, I mean, even though the people making the representations are no longer present.
Okay, sorry.
If you recall, if you go back to the previous hearing, obviously there were some expansions on that, but if you can address such topics such as noise nuisance, such as whether this has an outdoor area, that type of thing, which may assist the councillors in making their decisions and whether or not they need to introduce additional conditions, or whether you feel that in this application is different and therefore the additional conditions shouldn't apply. Something like that would be of assistance, I think, to the councillors.
Okay, thank you. So I start again. So the applicant is Hoichito, which is my partner, so I'll be representing her, and then it's a restaurant with I think a max capacity is about 40 maximum, so it's not a very big restaurant. So with there won't be any outdoor area, so it's all internal, and then with I think it's more or less with the same hearing. Is we'll try our best to work with the neighbors if they do have any complaints and stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you. You said there's no outside area, so where would the people that smoke, where would you ask them to go?
I mean, if they smoke, well, it's legal. Obviously, they're not allowed to smoke inside the building. It's against the law, but they are happily. That's the question I was about to ask previously when he read out the grant on the last hearing. What happened if the customer go out and smoke on their own choices? You know, I don't have a designated smoking area in this instance, so the customer will be asked to be smoked outside.
I think the thinking behind it was that they don't smoke outside in the pavement. Now, in the previous one, you've got a beer garden.
Yeah,
I think in this case, I think they probably shouldn't smoke outside the front door or the frontage of your premises, I think.
but all we can do is leave signs. But I mean, the pavement is actually belongs to the public, so it's hard for me to tell customer. But all I can say is I'm willing to leave signs and stuff like that. And that if we're not allowed to smoke outside our prison, we won't be providing any ashtray or anything like that to provoking them smoking outside our area.
Of course.
Okay.
And with regard to the bottles that you'll be moving around, because if you're serving wine at the table and that, there are going to be a lot of bottles. Where will you be stacking those? Will they be outside in the back?
I think the way how we manage it, we will put it behind the small bar area in a rubbish sack or in a bucket, and then we will just empty it, or it depends how busy we're gonna order a glass bin or not, or we're just gonna put it in a bag, and then depends on the collection. We're not gonna put a sack of a bottle outside the street if they're not collecting it. In that case, we will leave it behind the back area of the premise, so it won't go into public or maybe get damaged, or we're leaving glasses all over the place. Then if it for instance we get too busy, then we might get a welly bin from the waste management, and then we can lock it up, and then afterwards then.
Thank you for that. Any questions, please, either of the councillors? John? Oh, no?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. So is there anything you'd like to say, Mr. Ho, in summing up, please?
Not really. Like, if obviously I'm here to do business. Obviously, I'm here not to make any enemies and stuff like that. If obviously I'm willing to work with the neighbors if they do complaints. Oh, I mean, I should represent my wife, but it's the same. So yes, any I'm willing to adapt to whatever complaints that they
Okay, thank you very much.
have.
We're going to go into recess now with Mr.
Okay.
So if you'd like to give us probably 10 minutes.
Okay.
And come back at 25 to 1.
25.
25 to 1.
So 35 minutes past.
1:35.
12:35, yeah.
That's it.
12:35. Sorry,
Okay, I see you guys later. Then.
12:35. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is nice.